So, have you ever remembered something completely random from, say, an important event? Not the main detail, not the thing you were supposed to remember, something small or insignificant. A song playing in the background, a dog barking outside, a stain on someone's shirt, the smell of burnt toast even. Why does the brain remember things that are superfluous like that? Because genuine memories are not neat summaries, they're experiences. Hi, I'm Steve Van Appen, and today we're looking at another fascinating concept from reality monitoring research. Now, what we're looking at is why real memories often contain random, seemingly irrelevant details. Let's get into it. When we experience an event, our brain doesn't only record the main action, it also takes in surroundings such as, sounds, smells, movement, temperature, other people, and unexpected distractions. Now, some of those details have nothing to do with the main event, but they become attached to the memory anyway. For example, imagine someone describing an argument. They say they were arguing in the kitchen, and I remember the smoke alarm kept beeping because the battery was low. That smoke alarm has nothing to do with the argument or the conversation or the narrative, but it was part of the overall experience. Now, compare that with something like, we argued in the kitchen and then I left. Possible, of course, but the first account contains something interesting, peripheral detail, something unnecessary or superfluous, but the person may remember simply only because it happened. Researchers Johnson and Ray found that genuine memories often contain more perceptual and contextual information. That includes details from the background, not just the central event. Let me give you another example. Someone describes attending an important meeting. They say, I remember the room being freezing and one person kept rubbing their hands together because they were so cold. Now, that detail isn't essential. It doesn't really prove anything, but it helps recreate the experience. Now, imagine somebody describing a first date. They may say, I can't remember exactly what I ordered, but I remember the waiter dropping an entire tray of glasses. That's how memory often works. Now, we forget the obvious detail and remember the strange ones. Why? Because unusual events attract attention. They interrupt the expected pattern, and the brain often holds them in their memory, I guess. Reality monitoring examines whether an account contains characteristics associated with experienced events. That can include sensory information, spatial detail, context, emotion, peripheral observations. Now, people can invent random details, and truthful people can forget everything around them. So these features should never be treated as proof on their own. And like I've said in previous videos, we need to look for other supporting evidence. The important question is whether the detail appears naturally and fits within the wider memory. Let's look at one more example. Imagine someone says, I walked into the office and noticed someone had left a wet umbrella on the floor. I nearly slipped on it. Now, that detail, once again, may not advance the main story at all, but it creates context. It places the person inside that environment. Now, compare that with I entered the office and completed the meeting. Obviously, a lack of information, content, and structure and detail. But one sounds like a summary, the other sounds more like an experience. Again, neither one proves truth or deception, but reality monitoring teaches us to look beyond the headline, because genuine memories contain the background noise of life, the interruptions, the odd observations, the details nobody planned to remember. So let's recap. Real memories may include background sounds, unexpected smells, small visual details, irrelevant interruptions, unusual events even, and observations that weren't necessary to tell the story, because sometimes the detail that makes a memory feel real is the detail that had no reason to be there. Just quick references, as I mentioned before, Johnson and Ray, Reality Monitoring, Source Monitoring Framework, and Albert Fridge, Detecting Lies and Deceit. If you found this useful, subscribe to the channel below and share this video with someone who you think may need to see it, because once you understand memory, you start hearing the truth very differently. I'm Steve Van Appen.